What up, YouTube LAX? Come back at you with another custom StarCraft 2 cast. Today we have a couple matchups featuring the Nod mod, and as you may have already guessed, this mod brings the Nod from Command & Conquer into the StarCraft 2 universe. Totally canon, I promise. Let's go ahead and introduce our players and jump right into it. Spawning on the bottom left-hand side of the map, it's our pink Nod, Marked of Cain player RedHood, going up against his opponent. Spawning on the top right-hand side of the map, it's our teal Nod Black Hand player, MukolaUA. We'll call him Mukola for short. If you guys are new to my channel, I do cast a lot of custom StarCraft 2 content, so if custom StarCraft 2 is something you're interested in watching more of, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, what we are witnessing here appears to be some cheese. It has to be cheese. We got two slaves running across the map towards the pink Nod player. This has to be cheese, and yes, this is a cannon rush equivalent. The Viper turrets are already coming down, one on top of the ramp right here in the main base, and another one at the door of the natural location, and RedHood hasn't noticed this yet. Oh, this is going to be rough. Finally, a Hand of Nod has been placed down. Immediately, there are some Devout's training, and here we go. RedHood will notice that he is getting cheesed. One of the slaves, I think, actually getting taken out by the slaves from RedHood. But two workers killed already at least. The Devout's are on the field already, killing another slave of Mukola's. And this is actually a great reaction by RedHood. Ultimately not losing too much, but he still has these Viper cannons to deal with. How many workers were killed? 4 workers killed by our teal Nod player. These Devout's should make relatively short work, and as I said that, they're not making short work at all. This Viper turret is hardly taking damage from the Devout's, and Mukola going full commit to this cheese. I love it. It looks like a missile pod being placed, which is interesting because the missile pod is an anti-air static defense structure. This isn't really something that I would want to cheese with. Mukola bringing 3 more slaves to RedHood's side of the map. This is absolutely hilarious. This is a hilarious way to open up the cast. Okay. Looks like another... Wait, is this a missile turret? Yeah, missile pod being placed. I almost called it a missile turret. Yeah, you know, sue me. I'm a StarCraft 2 caster, a custom StarCraft 2 caster. No, this is a missile pod. It's interesting he's placing the missile pods because these aren't going to do any anti-ground damage, I don't think, right? Yeah, they target air units. They do provide detection, but I mean, you don't really need detection in this scenario. Mukola is saying something in Russian that I cannot read. The Devout taking out another slave, forcing the cancel. I believe this was a Viper turret that was in production. Another Viper turret here that is still alive. Bro, this is a meme. This game is an absolute meme at this point. this Viper turret with 3 kills. How many workers killed now? So ironically, Mukola has lost more workers than his opponent, and he's the one doing the cannon rush equivalent, which is hilarious, but I think he's given up on it. Appears that he's going for, I think, what is a macro transition. There are some slaves chilling in the natural base location. I expect we're going to see another expansion getting placed down, or I guess one expansion getting placed down, not another one, for our teal player. Some Devouts and I believe Ascendants as well for our pink Nod player. And here we go. Finally, this Viper turret getting attacked, but getting a lot of kills at the same time, going down with 6 kills to its name. Taking a look at the resources lost, relatively even. 1,900 resources lost for pink, 1,500 resources lost for teal. And I really want to know the reasoning behind the missile pod. Those who are familiar with Command & Conquer, is this a valid play? Throwing missile pods along with your anti-ground static defense Viper turrets. I guess not necessarily static defense, more like static offense. But that missile pod will go down to the laser beam of this spider tank. And another missile pod getting attacked. I mean, this does give Mukola some idea of the composition that RedHood is going for, but at the same time, you kind of forced RedHood's hand to go for ground units, quick ground units to take care of that cheese. There is a Marauder here as well. You may have noticed a balloon on its nose. That is a graphical anomaly. I forgot to mention that this mod, I believe, is still in the alpha state, so it has some work that still needs to be done. We'll notice graphical anomalies throughout some of these replays, I think. Not too often, but I noticed them in some of my other casts. Ooh, some flame tanks as well. If I recall, these things attack and move at the same time. And here we go. An engagement in the middle of the map. RedHood not super keen on attacking these flame tanks. Some balloons on the flame tanks as well, but I don't know if those were from the Marauders attacking them. And it looks like Mukola is still going for a relatively aggressive push towards the pink side of the map, I think. A lot of units going down for RedHood as well. Mukola is doing a great job in this game. Taking a look at the resources lost. Pink has lost 3,400 resources. Teal has lost 2,600 resources. So basically a 1,000 resources lost deficit for our pink Nod player RedHood. And these flame tanks on the way towards the pink side of the map. There are some Viper turrets here, 4 of them. Will be able to do some damage, I think. But these flame tanks showing themselves. And here we go. They do indeed attack and move. This construction yard defense team doing some damage. These balloons are hilarious to me, by the way. But these tanks, oh man, how many workers killed now? 17 workers killed by our teal player, now 24. These flame tanks doing absolute work on the pink side of the map and also taking out the natural base location. A Dominator has entered the game, but just a little bit too late. 0 kills. This is a permanently cloaked unit. Oh man, okay, so that was 27 workers killed by our teal player. So although Mukola had that cannon rush opener and failed, was still able to do a lot of damage to the pink Nod player. RedHood is still in the game, though. Let's take a look at the resources lost. 7,000 resources lost to 5,200. Still a deficit for him. Taking a look at the worker supply. 29 slaves to 49 in favor for our teal Nod player as well. A third base also. A third Tiberium refinery placed for Mukola. Meanwhile, this Tiberium refinery has been replaced, but RedHood is on 2 bases. Still seems like he's looking to expand to the third base location, but he's really behind. I mean, 27 workers killed to 6. That is a rough position to be in as you enter the mid-game. These flame tanks, they are so cool looking, man. I really think these models are impressive. Now, we'll see. We'll see how RedHood decides to react to this. I mean, what he's doing now is valid. He's not going for an attack. He knows that he was kind of crippled and is going to be chilling, trying to rebuild just a little bit. Taking a look at the worker supply, he's really down in workers. 20 workers down, in fact. So it's 58 workers to 38 in favor for our teal player. Meanwhile, though, there are a couple Dominators moving across the map. They're moving like Dark Templar. There is no detection. Is there detection in the mineral line, though? Yes, there is a missile pod in the mineral line in the third base. This Dominator just pushing through. He's like, excuse me, and pushes through these flame tanks and moves into the range of that missile pod detection and ultimately goes down. There's another Dominator here chilling at the fourth base location, but is not doing much right now. And there is movement from the teal player as well. The Avenger tanks mixed with the flame tanks. This is a really scary looking army. And there isn't really a lot for RedHood, I feel like. I mean, okay, he's got some stuff. The seismic cannons are looking pretty nice. We also have stealth tanks, which do uncloak, by the way, when they attack. Mukola feeling really confident, though, but these seismic cannons doing a ton of work. Mukola may be overextending just a little bit, realizing, hey, look, maybe I should run away. This combat motorcycle is like, hey, you know what? See ya. I'm not going to be a part of this, and decides to go home. All right, so we did a little bit of a jump cut because it was quiet for a couple minutes, and I want to keep you guys in on the action, but there's once again a Dominator chilling at the 4th base location, and you guys, we also have Holy Spirits on the map, these crazy cool mecha units along with the Salamander, and there's some movement here on the minimap as well. The Dominator coming into base number 4. So chilling at what it thought was base number 4, but no, finding the actual location for base number 4 for Mukola, doing a ton of work, getting 10 kills and really evening out the score for the workers' kill count. Oh man, this Dominator's still alive. Some missile pods being frantically placed. What I would do in RedHood's situation is attack the workers building the missile pods. You don't want to attack the construction yard. That is not doing the damage you need it to do, man. Ultimately still alive and then going down virtually instantly. These Holy Spirits, man, I'm not really sure if RedHood can handle this. I mean, he might be able to. This is also a scary looking army. Some basilisks as well mixed into this. These salamanders look so cool, but I think the Holy Spirit looks even cooler. Both players chilling once again. There is some movement from RedHood, though. What are these Devouts? Making themselves known, and they're not really going to do much other than get some scouting information in. The Cobra spotting them, but ultimately the main army for Mukola taking those guys out. An outpost here as well provides power to the base. And what is this? Oh, some Cobras. What is happening here? Wait a minute. Oh, okay, never mind. For a second, I thought it was Mukola attacking himself, but no. That was, where are they? I don't even know where they are. There were some units. Oh, here they are. Some Banes from RedHood. These spider tanks breakdancing at the back of this army. And here we go, a big engagement on the pink side of the map. Can RedHood break this army? The Holy Spirits look really scary. With the Salamander support, I'm not so sure if RedHood will be able to hold off the push from Mukola. The entire pink army going down. There is an aftershock for RedHood as well, but RedHood throwing out the GG, giving the game to Mukola. But stay tuned because that was a short one, and I'll see you guys for another game. All right, you guys, welcome to another game featuring the Nod mod. This isn't necessarily game number 2, but this is a game featuring RedHood and one other player. So let's go ahead and reintroduce them. Spawning on the bottom right-hand side of the map, it's our pink Nod player RedHood going up against his opponent. Spawning on the top left-hand side of the map, it's our blue StarCraft 2 Protoss player Hellteck. So this is going to be StarCraft 2 versus Nod. We'll see how this game goes. RedHood did lose that first game, but it was a crazy cool game. That cheese from Mukola was so interesting to watch, but ultimately it wasn't the cheese that won him the game. I love it when that happens. Now, both players have expanded already. I mean, this expansion is not quite done. The expansion for RedHood is already finished. Taking a look at the worker supply, 33 workers to 25, and that is because we have this expansion in the natural base location coming down just a little bit earlier than his Protoss opponent. Now, for a second, I thought this was a full wall, but it's not. The placement on the cybernetics core just threw me off a little bit, especially with this pylon. But no, that is not an airtight wall, which is good because this will allow Hellteck to move out. And in fact, we already have movement with these stalkers going towards the pink side of the map. The militants, I'm not sure how these militants will do against stalkers because they only have 30 HP. The stalker has 80 shields and 80 HP. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes for RedHood. There is a Raider buggy on the back of this army as well, which will help, I think, add to the DPS against these stalkers. Great great control by Hellteck, making sure not to lose the shields on that Stalker that was taking damage, and also making sure not to overextend. And we'll see if RedHood can catch a break, though. This isn't necessarily a 2-base all-in. This is kind of just like, let me see what kind of damage I can do with 3 Stalkers. Now 2 more Stalkers on the back of this push. A lot of these militants going down, though. They do have the militant Rocketeers as well to support them, but just a little bit too late. This Rocketeer is running for its life and will go down. The Raider Buggy witnessing that firsthand. These Stalkers are doing way more damage than I'm used to Stalkers doing, especially without Blink. The Slave Pull to try and tank some of this damage. Taking a look at the workers killed. Only 2 workers killed, though, so that's not really that bad. Now 3 workers killed. As you can hear, Harvester lost is something that we're hearing in the replays. We'll see if that gets fixed as the modder develops this game. Also, big shout out to him for the work that he's put into this mod. But finally, it looks like RedHood able to build some units and force the Protoss on the retreat. Taking a look at the resources lost, though, 2,700 resources lost to 1,000 resources lost in favor for our blue Protoss player. But all these Stalkers go down. What do we have back home, though? A Warp Prism with a shield battery as well in the natural base location. But if this pylon goes down, I think most of this stuff gets depowered, except for that Cybernetics core and maybe this Warp Gate. But with the Warp Prism, actually, you could power these things in theory. So we'll see. We'll see if RedHood is able to snipe that pylon. It's kind of behind all this stuff, though, so it would be a really hard structure to destroy, to be fair. Base number 3 also down for our pink Nod player. So despite the fact that he did kind of suffer some losses, I mean, he only lost 4 workers. All things considered, that's not that bad. And the resources lost, yeah, he has a resources loss deficit, but also not going to be that bad considering the fact that he has a 3rd base down already. And taking a look at the worker supply, 44 workers to 54, so a 10 worker supply lead for our pink Nod player as well. Ooh, I like this. Building some anti-air defense on the outskirts of his base, and the fact that there is a Warp Prism on the field, that's not necessarily a bad idea. Although this Warp Prism is chilling in the natural base location, I would move that thing up front to not only help micro the Immortal, but also reinforce this Protoss army. Blink is not on the way as well. Interestingly enough, we have Charge on the way, but we have a lot of Stalkers on the field. So we'll see if we have a tech switch from our blue StarCraft 2 Protoss player. And here it is, the Warp Prism on the field. And Colossi on the way. Oh, I like this a lot. Interesting. So I don't think we're going to see any sort of engagement from our Protoss player until these Colossi are done. Charge is almost finished as well. Some stealth tanks are being built from these war factories. So we're going to see a really interesting engagement, I think, at the 3rd base location. Hellteck deciding not to wait for these Colossi and going for the push, and I think this is probably a decent enough call. No blink on these Stalkers, though, so they will take a lot of damage retreating. A Warp and a 4 Zealots to reinforce this army. They will be able to close the distance to a lot of these units, but they will actually survive. I thought they were going to go down to these stealth tanks, but no, they do survive. Zealots just eat any tank for breakfast, regardless if it's vanilla or not. That was a good engagement for Hellteck, man. And the Colossi are finished, and here they go. Do they actually have, let's take a look at our upgrades. No, Thermal Lance is not done, so they do not have the extended range. Not that they necessarily need it at this point, but I would really wait. I would really wait for those Colossi to reinforce this army. And here we go. The Colossi will be able to do some splash damage. The Zealots keeping these stealth tanks from closing in. This is a really, really kind of ballsy engagement for Hellteck, though. This is a lot of stuff, and he might lose a lot of resources. Base number 3 still alive, by the way. Taking a look at the resources lost, still in favor for our blue Protoss player. 8,700 resources lost for RedHood. 3,800 resources lost for Hellteck. Taking a look at the worker supply as well, actually, we have 50 probes to 65 slaves. So a worker supply lead for the time being, but I'm not so sure how long that's going to last. RedHood, I think, is feeling pretty comfortable, though. I mean, he's holding off this constant harassment pretty well. That Colossus going down. Hellteck leaving the game without a GG, giving the victory to RedHood. RedHood able to redeem himself. What a sick match. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, please consider shooting me a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want me to cast any of your own games, I will leave my email and Discord in the description below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.